Hey everyone, so one of the major issues holding ADCs back in solo queue is actually taking terrible recall timings. ADC players tend to be 20 to 30% weaker throughout the course of the game, which leads them to believe that they're weaker than they actually should be. But if you fix your recall timings and smoothly hit your power spikes, you should be able to easily right-click your way to victory. So let's jump into it. Your first mission is to always plan your recalls. It's easy to fumble your way into a good recall, but that's inconsistent and doesn't make you good. Thinking 1 or 2 minutes ahead and managing to always get a solid recall timing takes skill and will make the game much easier for you if you become good at it. The second mission is a bit obvious, but you should always do the mental math of what you can buy when you do actually recall. Not only that, but make sure you recall based on what your opponent can buy as well. For example, if you're playing Draven versus Caitlyn and you have 900 gold, you may want to recall. This means that Caitlyn also has around 900 gold. You would get a Vampiric Scepter, meanwhile she'd be stuck with a shard. Despite having equal income, your buy would clearly be better. And your final mission is to consider what the lane state will become as a result of your recall. Will it be slow pushing away from you when you get back, or will it be freezing towards you, etc. Let's get into a Smurf game where we'll watch Hector win almost entirely off of his recalls. There's going to be a bit of an abnormal start to this laning phase. Yasuo will be alone because Soraka was AFK for a bit. This won't matter long term, it's just something to be noted. Soraka not being here at the start allows Hector to get the push lead, so him and Pyke will get level 2 first. Soraka is really trolling by being this far up, but unfortunately Pyke is AFK sitting in the bush, so they miss their opportunity for a free kill. This is actually a really bad spot to be in this matchup. Low elo support players playing hook-based champions are usually very lost when they don't see an obvious hook angle. So when the wave is like this, the lane effectively becomes a 1v2. Combine that with the fact that Hector got hit by a lot of skill shots and blew most of his potions, and the lane is already looking pretty lost. So what do? Well, he tries to grab a bit more CS and just ditches the lane and recalls. Let's break down this recall and why it wins him the laning phase. So take a look at the wave as he's recalling. It's basically dead, and so the enemy duo can't freeze. This means their only options are to either slow push or fast shove the wave. This can lead to 3 unique situations, which are all favorable for Hector, which is why he takes this recall. 1. The enemy slow pushes. But remember, slow pushes are just freezes for the other side. Hector could come back and maintain the freeze with his health and item advantage. This sets up easy ganks because he has a Pyke versus Yasuo and Soraka. Even if they don't get ganked though, they'll still be at an item disadvantage. The second outcome is that they fast crash the wave and take their own recall. This is fine. Yasuo won't have much more gold and likely just picks up another Doran's Blade and potions as well. Going from the earlier lane state, which was terrible, to being even is a pretty favorable outcome, right? Or the outcome that actually happens. They fast shove the wave, but they don't recall. This is a huge mistake by the enemy team. Hector isn't dumb and isn't going to give them a free recall. He's going to lock them in lane, leaving them perpetually at an item disadvantage, allowing him to take control of the laning phase. Things are even better because he happens to be versus a Yasuo who is a melee champion. Building a slow push like this is going to be very punishing for him when he tries to last hit under his tower. Unlike last time when he was in this situation, the extra Doran's Blade will definitely help mitigate the poke that he's going to take. And finally his Pyke does punish the overextending Soraka, forcing her out of lane and leaving Yasuo alone. Then, as all low elo players do, he greeds and dies for free. This gives his team a numbers advantage to get Dragon, but always fix your wave before going to take the Dragon. Resetting it and making it bounce back to you is critical. Once that's done, he helps secure the Dragon and recalls. We're going to skip ahead a bit since we do want to focus on recalling and not much happens during the lane anyways. After shoving out the wave, he looks to collapse and help his team, but the enemy bot lane just backs off. But LeBlanc is still out of position, and although it is a bit close because of the accidental turret shot that he takes, they do manage to kill her. What do you think they should do in this position? Obviously, a lot of people's immediate reaction is to recall here, but that's actually wrong this time. Think about what he buys if he recalls. 800 gold is a crit cloak at best. That's no good, and then he'd have a full inventory and wouldn't even get his magical footwear at 10 minutes. So Hector opts to stay and keep farming bottom. The reason he can do this is important. Remember, they just killed LeBlanc, so Vladimir has priority from mid lane. But more important, Pyke and Warwick are controlling the enemy bot side jungle. The enemy Yasuo and Soraka couldn't punish him even if they wanted to. Not only that, but he's healing up really quickly thanks to all the lifesteal that he's bought and a bit from the Ocean Dragon that they claimed earlier. In just a minute, he's gone back to full HP and can remain in bot lane until he finds a better recall timing. Once again, we're going to skip ahead. Don't worry, you don't miss anything relevant. Pyke doesn't find any hooks, so everyone just farms peacefully for a little while. So Hector is sitting on quite a bit of gold at this point. Remember though, you want to time your recalls based on how much gold you have. Take a moment to think here. At how much gold should he try to base? If you said 1800 gold, you've got a sharp eye. Magical footwear is about to proc, giving him free boots, and he's also sitting on a dagger. Therefore, he needs 500 gold to turn those dagger and boots into tier 2 boots, plus 1300 gold to buy a BF sword on top of that. That's a really solid base, so he just needs to stick around for a couple more waves. However, Pyke decides to turn up the heat and punishes the mispositioned Soraka. This changes his game plan. He can now stick around for an even better buy to snowball much harder. This kill ensures that he can safely farm the next wave coming in, and knowing that he can harass the Yasuo means that he'll need to base. That's going to guarantee a tower plate and another wave after this one. Hector doesn't hesitate to just use his ultimate on the wave, knowing that he won't need it because of how strong he'll be once he buys. He fully completes his Essence Reaver, and he's really online now. The second he's back in lane, he begins dumpstering them 1v2 because of how strong he already is. Then, when Soraka mispositions slightly, he just guns her down with ease. Again, let's skip ahead. The lane becomes a farm fest because of how scared the enemy bot lane has become. This allows him and Pyke to have complete priority, allowing them to mess with Ka, even though it doesn't amount to much. Then, he applies the same concept as before. He's patiently farmed until a good recall timing and immediately takes it. He gets the same 1800 gold buy that we talked about earlier, and he's even stronger than before. At this point, he's just killing Soraka under tower. Now he transitions his lead to mid, where he solo kills both assassins, though his heal was a bit insecure. At this point, he doesn't have to play anything well. He's so far ahead and the enemy team eventually forfeits. So let's quickly recap. He used a smart recall to salvage a terrible lane state. Then, he kept making good decisions based on the game state, which allowed him to always recall at the perfect moment. That's why he was always so strong and why he could just one-shot everyone who came near his screen. Recall timings are definitely something that every ADC should work on since they're ridiculously important. And that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
本视频由喵影工厂独家赞助播出。